views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Open BxRx Remote, brought to you from my living workspace, Charlie Executive Suite. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll learn the important details behind filing taxes amid the pandemic, where we speak with Food Bank NYC Vice President of Programs, Zach Hall, about their free tax assistance program. After that, we'll be joined by Gallery Gurls founder, Jasmin Hernandez, to discuss her new book, We Are Here, Visionaries of Color, Transforming the Art World. Then we'll sit down with visual artist Alithea Brown to discuss the inspiration behind her solo exhibition, She Story, celebrating a visual journey. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, we'll find out about Dance Rising NYC and the upcoming video tour, Still Rising, that, we'll even get a performance by full Circle Souljahs at the end of the show. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour, encouraging you to get social with us online, that is. Don't forget, we want to connect. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV or like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, you can follow me on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So, it feels like the spring is arriving, right? And with that also comes tax season. And, it is tax season, and many people have concerns about filing their taxes due to the pandemic. You know, millions of people have received stimulus checks, unemployment, and basically, I don't know about you, but it's definitely left a whole bunch of us confused on how we should be filing our taxes. So the Food Bank for NYC is offering free tax services preparations for low-income New Yorkers. And joining us to tell us more, we welcome Food Bank NYC Vice President of Programming, Zach Hall. Hello and welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you taking the time to be interested in our story and in this type of work. Thank you.
It's looking nice and sunny in your area as well, too.
Happy spring. That's all I can say. Here we are. Breath of fresh air.
Yes, yes. And I already made a detailed introduction as to, I'm sure, where everybody's thoughts are, because I got to say, 2021 filing taxes for 2020 is quite the undertaking, to say the least. And so I already mentioned, there have been millions and millions of New Yorkers who have been receiving unemployment. And my first question is unemployment taxable?
Well, no. So unemployment insurance is historically have been taxable, but the Congress is passing laws this year. And we expect that by airtime here, that the first $10,200 of your unemployment for 2020 will be tax-free. So that we'll be exempt from taxes for 2020, which is very, very good news. Historically, it has been taxable income. But, I think Congress has identified that this is a huge, important benefit that folks have received over the past year and want to make sure that that isn't negatively impacted on this side of the pandemic in 2021, where folks have to then be taxed on that same income. So hopefully that's in effect, and folks should check with their tax providers on confirming that law, but it should be the case, yes.
And so now that leads me into the stimulus checks that have been given. Are those taxable?
No, that's all tax-free money. That was designed, whether you see the first check, second check, or now here in the latest round, that is free, tax-free money that the government is, distributed to folks who really need stuff to be able to pay their light bill, rent, and food and clothes, shelter, all those things in the immediate moment. So that's really a benefit. So folks shouldn't worry about paying taxes on that money. I think the other piece is really that if you didn't get the benefit, filing your taxes is one of the best ways to make sure you get that stimulus check in your refund.
So in other words, if one has not received their stimulus check yet, what you're saying is they can actually request it within their tax returns so that it's implemented into their returns.
100% correct. Yeah. So if you didn't yet receive one or more of those stimulus checks in the last few go rounds, and you qualify based upon the income limits and thresholds, you should file your taxes and you would get that as part of added into your refund if you're getting a refund.
Okay, so I jumped right into asking questions that I've been very curious about, and so let's talk a little bit about these particular services that the Food Bank for NYC is offering with regards to tax preparation, which I think is a lovely service. I gotta say, my favorite word is free, so that's a big deal right there. And also, I just want to mention to everyone that the criteria is that you make $57,000 or less in order to qualify for this free service. So, Zach, talk about all the services that you guys are offering.
Well, thanks so much, Rhina. Yeah, so Food Bank has been operating IRS certified and sponsored VITA, so Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, free tax services for nearly 20 years. Since that time, we've filed over 775,000 tax returns and allowed folks to receive 1.3 billion with a B dollars in refunds. So we help thousands and tens of thousands of folks every year file their taxes for free. We offer tax filing services that have been adjusted this year relative to COVID. So we have drop-off locations at a dozen places across the city. We also have free, contact-free virtual tax filing services in which folks, just like we're talking right now, can file their taxes using their smartphone, tablet, or computer and submit their tax documents to us. And we have trained staff and volunteers on the other side prepare those taxes for free.
Yeah, go
ahead.
No. I was just going to ask because based on just the questions I opened up with and TurboTax or perhaps whatever technical taxing services and or apps that one can use to file their taxes, like how complicated is it this year? And I think what interests me the most is the fact that we were all homebound, and so as an artist, let's say, and an independent contractor, there's the independent contracting factor that could also just be in addition to just a salary that's being granted based on being offered the opportunity to just work from home. And that complicates it because those are two different filing systems.
Right. So very good point. So folks are maybe on a 1099 or self-employed filing would differ than a W-2 filing, for example, right? Those, and then complicated by, well, I'm working from home now. What credits can I take for use of my house, electricity,
right,
light, everything else? That is something that those filers should really pursue with anybody who is completing their taxes for them. Our trained staff and volunteers are well versed and IRS certified in tax law, so they can answer those questions. The complication for us these days is one that we addressed immediately following the pandemic and making sure that folks could stay safe and stay secure filing their taxes. So our virtual tax filing system takes two elements. One is making an access point for folks to submit their tax documents to us. So folks can use their smartphone to take pictures, upload it right into our secure server, and then folks offsite would prepare those taxes, follow up with those clients to confirm everything over phone, video chat. We do identity verification that way to make sure there's no fraud. And then we have another platform called Self-Prep where we allow folks to have access to, just like you said, we partner with Intuit and TurboTax to offer free software access for filers. And then we also provide tax coaches and a call center line that folks can call with questions. Just like you're saying, if, very particular, I'm from a household where my wife is on 1099 and I'm not, and how does that impact our tax filing with our dependents? Those types of questions are certainly something that we can help answer.
And so we are in March, and obviously, taxes need to be filed by April 15th. How do you suggest people move because of the fact that obviously, tax season is generally inundated with everybody moving a mile a minute to try and make that deadline. But would you consider where we are now late in the filing game?
Well, listen, everybody, we see a particular spike right before April as it comes up. Our typical tax season is late July through mid-April. We started in the first week of February this year with some delays with the IRS on the open filing season. And then February, of course, was in New York City, like under 3 feet of snow, depending on the day. So that really put a damper on how the traffic was moving. But we've seen that tick up over the past week when the weather's been nice. I would say don't delay, right? So the first thing is you're early. You're going to be better than waiting till the last minute. Folks can find a location where they can make an appointment for a drop-off or connect with one of our drop-off locations across the city by going to www.foodbanknyc/tax-help. Appreciate you guys blowing that up if you got an opportunity to do so on your social. And folks can follow our own social media for reminders on the filing and updates as we do. We have Tax Tuesdays here through tax season on our social media to update that. But no, there's no delay. And I think folks, if you qualify, please file. We do have an appointment-based system that can fill up. So it might be like maybe this week might be full, but take a look going into the future where folks can schedule some appointments and show up and drop off their documents. Be on their merry way. We'll file the tax. We'll prepare the taxes, connect with those folks, and get them moving on getting their refund as soon as possible.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for bringing it to our viewers. This is very, very, very helpful. And I'm sure a lot of people are in need of this service. So thanks for bringing it to us here on Open. This is Zach Hall, who is the Vice President of Programming for Food Bank for NYC. And this year they're offering the tax preparation assistance. And for more information on the tax assistance program, you can visit foodbanknyc.org/tax-help. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll find out about a new book celebrating Black and Brown creatives. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Our next guest is highlighting Black Indigenous people of color. Through what? Through her online platform, GalleryGurls.net. And now, through her new book, We Are Here, Visionaries of Color, Transforming the Art World. The book celebrates and showcases 50 creatives in the art world, from artists to curators to museum educators, And joining us to tell us more about the book, we welcome author Jasmin Hernandez. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is my TV show debut. I am honored to be asked by BronxNet to talk about my book and my work and the website, and I'm absolutely thrilled. Thank you for sharing space with me. I'm absolutely thrilled.
Bravo, bravo. We love when we pop the cherries.
I just used that term a few days ago. Love it. I made my Clubhouse debut.
Yeah, but honestly, Jasmine, you are a force to be reckoned with. Everything that I have read on your story is nothing short of impressive. And I would like to introduce you to our viewers first by explaining to them what drove you to even creating this book, which, we're going to basically give you a little bit of insight as to who's in the book. It's a coffee table book, but I'm most fascinated by the fact that you don't come from a traditional curating background. And so can you explain that to our viewers, what that means?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a native New Yorker. I graduated from Parsons, so I do have like an art school foundation, but I worked in fashion and media, but I was always drawn to the contemporary art world. I was, you know, an artsy girl that grew up in Jamaica, Queens with my Afro-Dominican single mom and my younger brother. And I always, you know, devoured art and culture through magazines, through MTV, VH1, etc. I was fortunate enough to go to Parsons. I graduated, I worked in fashion, but I was always in art spaces. I was always going to museums and galleries. I was going to galleries, you know, on Thursday nights in Chelsea when they have big openings, or I was going to museums on the free day, or I would just, you know, pay a penny to go to the Met. And I absolutely loved art, but I never saw myself represented. I studied dead white men in school. And when I graduated and I was out in the real world, it was still cis white men being celebrated, the Damien Hirst and the Jeff Koons. And there was a shift happening in early 2010, like in the 20-teens, like 2011, 2012, where you just had superstars like Kehinde Wiley and Mickalene Thomas and Kara Walker, and that world was so thrilling. So with the website, which I co-founded with someone else, but she bowed out eventually, and I continued shaping it. The focus was on Black artists, Black and brown artists, and on women. I just put one foot in front of the other. So I would go around the city and see exhibits and just write very frankly and very openly about these artists. I was also meeting art workers. So it got to a point where I was like, well, wait a minute, there are also these young curators of color who are cultural producers and gallerists and curators. It's not just the artists, it's the art workers as well. And we're all the same age and we're meeting through social media. And it's like this beautiful community that's being formed digitally or organically first, digitally, and then offline. And they need to be celebrated as well. So the website continued doing exhibition reviews on artists of color, but also documenting these cultural workers, cultural producers shaping art in New York City as well and beyond.
And the whole thing with regards to it's an experience, okay? So I had the privilege of just skimming through it, and it's definitely a visual book, but it also provides background on each individual. And I also want to mention that the foreword is written by Swiss Beats.
Yes, yes,
which,
yes. Very exciting.
That's a nice name to have attached
yes,
to the
Bronx
project.
native.
But most importantly, what I'm hoping for our viewers to walk away with is what drove you to do this, right? Which is obviously you just shared that you attended Parsons and you read a lot of history on like dead white men, and then you went and experienced, you know what, white men are, and so this is not about being racist. This is about disrupting the systemic racism, because basically somewhere in there it was told that that's what people need to learn in order to feel accomplished, right? And so what she's done is she's now made it her business to create the history for us. And I'm sharing this in this manner because I want everybody to understand that it's so important for us to really value the art that is being created by our own people, which means like there's the artist creating, and then there's the, you know, the spectators and or the consumers. And so, you know, it's a full circle type of situation in which we're able to raise a socioeconomic situation and create a value, upgrade our value, because, you know, we're all dealing with colonialism and oppression, and you know, we can stay in those conversations, or we can shift the paradigm and have these conversations, which is what we're doing now. Anyway, that was my take on it. I'm in awe over what you've created.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Your support is monumental. I'm so thrilled. A lot of the subjects in the book, they are my friends. It's a wide swath of folks in the book. It's 50 individuals. It's intergenerational. So you have veteran artists like Lola Flash and Renee Cox, who are iconic Black women artists. Then you have younger artists. You know, you have like zillennial artists like a Katie Pebenito, who's a non-binary artist that deals with their autobiography and their history of their maternal grandmother. And it's very personal work. And then you have someone like Uzumaki Cepeda, who is a 25-year-old Dominican-American artist from the Bronx who, you know, lives in LA and creates safe spaces, these installations that she uses faux fur. And they are like these metaphorical safe spaces. But overall, the people in the book were shifting the culture. You know, they were appearing on magazine covers. They were getting magazine profiles in Vogue. And that's lovely and amazing, and we need that. But I wanted to go beyond magazine articles and magazine covers. I wanted to go beyond like 10 Black artists to follow on Instagram or 10 Latinx artists to follow on Instagram. Like they need to be canonized. And my book isn't the only book. There are other books, you know, where we are here is in dialogue with those books as well. But this zeitgeist in this moment is very powerful. And I didn't want us to forget it because we forget so quickly. It needed to be documented. And it should come from a Black person, from a Black Latinx, Afro-Dominican identified person as myself, who is, you know, celebrating and documenting these folks. I'm not a white art writer who's privileged and given this opportunity, and I'm throwing in some random minorities. Like this is for us, by BIWOC, celebrating Black and brown folks.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love everything about what you just shared because
I'm thrilled.
This is the movement, sweetheart.
Yes.
And you know, it's Women's History Month. What better time to
Yes.
share it with our viewers? And
Yeah.
And again, everything you just shared is really the takeaway, right? It's this beautiful artwork, but in addition to the beautiful artwork, it's made for and by people of
Yes.
color.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's key. And this, you know, this book came out in 2021. You know, I don't think of this book as a book for 2021 consumption. Like we should look at this book in 2040 and 2050. We always look back. We've been looking back at the 90s for so long. We will look back at the 2020s. And this book is a testament that we existed and we are here. We are still here. We will still be here in 2040. You know, so it was key to document and celebrate everyone. That was monumental.
Well, congratulations, Jasmine.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you know, just a little words for you to ponder and trust that the book itself is going to hold historical value because of the time that it was published.
Right.
For hundreds of years to come.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Believe it. And we're happy to share it with our viewers. And I know, Jasmine, it's actually available on various platforms, the book that is. But Jasmin Hernandez is also an advocate for supporting our local businesses. So if you're interested in obtaining the book, we are here, Visionaries of Color, Transforming the Art World. It's available at Bronx's own Lit Bar, and it's also available at Café con Libros in Crown Heights, and it's also available at various locations throughout New York City. But if you want to know one that's near you, you can go to Gallery Gurls, that's spelled with a U, Gallery Gurls with a U.net. All right, so we do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to find out all about a new solo art exhibition. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guest is a New York native and alum of LaGuardia High School of Music and Art. And well, today she joins us to discuss her solo exhibition, She Story, Celebrating a Visual Journey. The exhibition features artwork created last January of 2020 and throughout the pandemic. It reflects the artist's spiritual journey and truth beyond words. And she's here to tell us more about her solo exhibition. Please welcome visual artist Alithea Brown.
Welcome, and thank you for having me. I'm excited.
You gave yourself an applause. I love that.
Well, this is for you, actually, because this is Women's History Month, so we get to be in this thing.
Yes, yes, yes. So, you know, I just want to reintroduce her because I did introduce her formally, and I first met Alithea approximately about 3 years ago at an event that she was facilitating called Coloring and Conversations at Metro Optics, and I've been following her ever since because her style in which she communicates, not only as an artist who puts it on canvas and or mixed media, but in the social gathering, she incorporates it into the experience. And it was something that always stayed with me. And because of that, I've been just making sure that I stay on top of like your moves because your style is very unique. And of course I love the fact that it's filled with lots of colors.
Color is energy for me. So that's a perfect segue to that question and opening. So She's story for me is because I'm a storyteller and I use color and texture and pattern, and not just on the canvas, but off the canvas, on a stage. I perform storytelling as well. So for me, if if red were a sound, what sound would red make is the kind of questions I ask when I'm painting. So I'm always looking for, and I'm glad you said an experience, because that's really what I would rather than you just looking at a pretty piece of work that's been finished. Because the process is so much doper than just people understand sometimes, that I want the experience to want us to engage. So I did my job if that's happening.
Right, but again, but then there's you sharing as an artist, but then there's also this facilitation that's occurring, and that's kind of disguised as a social gathering, and so
Hmm.
there's this whole collective healing that's occurring. It was so beautiful that I never forgot it.
Oh my goodness, I
And I'm
love
so
that.
oh my gosh, and I'm so excited that we're able to feature you in your solo exhibition. And I did kind of like sweep over the fact that this originated in January of 2020, but what I didn't mention was your art wedding and how you officiated getting married to your artwork.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long time coming journey, because I grew up in East Harlem in East River houses, and I remembered when I was going to St. Lucy's, the priest, when we were doing our preparation for the First Holy Communion, asked the class the question, "What's the difference between a promise and a vow?" And I instantly, in my 7-year-old mind, translated that to mean that's what I took with God with this assignment, being an artist, that no man, woman, or child would interrupt, which is how I got the title Uninterrupted, because in my entire life, I've always been making art, processing art, creating in some realm. So this journey was about me looking at women in the arts versus men. I found that men didn't have to interrupt their career patterns, but women often did, because they were mothers and nurturers and family members that had to get attention from them. So their art changed as well. For me, I took a vow, and I never had children. I never got married. And I did, like most men, I got to have a career path uninterrupted. So for me, the art wedding was taking that vow to the next level. After 50 years of committing to this, I, in front of the world, did that streaming live and had people live in the gallery.
Now it's beautiful, and I know we showed a little clip of it, but it's really an experience to just see a person making a commitment to self, right? It's you, your work, your inner child together, united with source. And so you use the word uninterrupted,
Hmm.
and there's something I read in your bio in which one would question whether you were interrupted for a temporary period once the pandemic hit. Do you
Mm.
care to share a little
Yeah.
bit about that?
Because for me, when one time I was in a workshop and a little boy had asked me, he said he was having difficulty with keeping up with a project I was presenting. And I said, he asked me, "Well, I'm not an artist, you are." I said, "Well, what do you think the difference between an artist and a non-artist is?" And he started going into the technical things about being able to draw and paint. And I said, "No, an artist is an artist because of how we think and process. There is a process for the work before it ever hits the canvas, the paper, or any surface." So I felt interrupted in this pandemic, because the first 3 months when it hit and we didn't know what was really happening, I was mentally and emotionally paralyzed. I didn't want to create. So therefore, I wasn't even in here, because that's where it starts. This stopped and halted for the first time in my life, because I've been an artist from 3, and I've never not been processing, finishing a work, creating a work, seeing the world as a work to begin. I really was frozen for those 3 months, like, why should I create anything else if the world is coming to an end? That's how I felt. And then when I started talking to other artists and I started realizing I wasn't alone with that, like, what if you're witnessing the day before it's no more day, what would that look like?
Right.
And so
Right.
for me, it was interrupted. And what gave me breath again was I'm a tree person. I have to be around a tree at least once a day. I get my life from that. And so when a friend of mine, we were studio mates at Chashama in Harlem for almost a decade, he started doing his nature walks in Van Cortlandt Park. So I joined him and we took our lenses out and just started shooting whatever was in eye shot. And I was like, ooh, I literally felt like this morph into myself again, and this outer being and inner being was in a conversation, and then being in nature and walking on soil and breathing air for the first time, because you're not masked, you're not in that paranoia, so you're freer in that space. And I've always been one to walk in the forest. I'd start my day or end my day like that anyway. So
Right.
this shift of my photography was also another new beginning, because I've been taking photos for almost as long as I've been painting. I just never showed them to the world because I didn't want people to think they had the right to criticize them.
You
So
know, yeah, right. So now it's more like, well, you know what? This is my relation to nature, my salvation, my rebirth as an artist, because the beauty of this particular solo exhibition is that it has a lot of mixed media. And so I'm excited for you, and I just want to congratulate you on just pushing through, and most importantly, just allowing yourself to surrender into the next chapter.
yeah, I use that word surrender a lot. And for me, it's a constant reminder I give myself that art, and especially when you think in terms of spirituality, is about a surrender. And whether it be growing as an artist technically and emotionally and all of those other layers, the surrender is being able to be connected and present, which is why it's
Beautiful.
like meditation.
Exactly, exactly. Art is therapy and art heals. Okay. And so we have to go, but really quickly, I know your art is already up on display, and it's going to be on display until April 30th, right?
Yes.
Just really quickly, talk about the dinner gatherings that you're going to have,
Yes.
because I'm going to send everybody to your social media platform.
Awesome.
However, I know that you've got like a
A
formal
dinner
dinner
art reception.
reception.
Yeah, because so the dinner art reception is this Sunday, March 14th, and there are two seatings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 8:30 to 10 p.m. I'm actually having a wedding reception cake. The cake artist is making that, who lives up here in Co-op City. So I'm having an art and spirituality cake to kind of celebrate this 1 year full circle. The work will be on display. I'll have some of my art novelties on display for people to purchase. And then people will be able to engage. I'll tell a story or two on the stage, engage people as we move around the space and eat and ingest each other, because
Oh,
especially in this time.
exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Alithea
Thank
Brown,
you
for
so much.
bringing it to our viewers.
I love
Woo!
you.
Yes. All
Thank you.
right. She's Story, celebrating a visual journey, will be on display, as we mentioned, till April 30th. And that's at Nostrand Social, which is located at 706 Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn. And of course, if you want more information, you can follow Alethea's _ originals at artworks, and that's on Instagram. Alethea's _ original at artworks. I'm sorry, underscore
Artwork.
artworks. All right, all right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, darling. You're welcome. All right, you guys don't go anywhere, because Bobby C's weekly sports roundup is coming up next.
We begin our look at sports here in the Big Apple with the New York Mets down in spring training. We caught up with former Yankee Dellin Betances. The right-hander struggled in his Grapefruit League debut last week, but the former All-Star showed improvement this past week. The Mets reliever allowed an unearned run in the fourth inning Monday in a 9-5 defeat to Washington. Here's Betances on how he is feeling this spring.
I still got some work I need to do, obviously, trying to improve on commanding my fastball well and my spike breaking ball hasn't been effective for me yet. And, building some strength. I think, if I do that, the more games I pitch, I feel more prepared for this season.
Fellow Met Jerry Blevins took a year off from baseball in 2020. He spent it chasing two kids in diapers. The lefty never officially retired from baseball. He says only one former team could have convinced him to come back, thanks to some unfinished business.
I still have that want. I want to win a World Series. For me, it was literally the only team I would have come back for was the Mets. My body still feels great. I still have, analytics that say my stuff is still the same, so I'm still there. I still have that drive. And then the perfect storm of having, a chance to come to New York where my family loved it, where my first son was born, and they're a World Series competitor. And so it's going to be tough to make this team, but I still feel like I have an opportunity to do that.
Over in Yankee spring training camp, a big name is back too. Yankee manager Aaron Boone returns from having pacemaker surgery. The team is happy to have him back, Boone is happy to be back, and Aaron is also happy with how the Pinstripers have looked so far this spring.
I think our depth's something that's kind of stood out to me. I feel like we have a lot of really good players, and kind of going through it today, kind of trying to get our lineups in place over these next few handful of days. We have a lot of good players to get in there, and I really like the work that the guys have been putting in. There's a business-like kind of hunger, and I feel like one-mindedness that's taking shape. And going back to the beginning, just really pleased with where guys came in physically, and that's kind of manifested itself so far.
Corey Kluber has looked brilliant on the mound. The former Cy Young winner, a new Yankee, discusses the value of conversations that he's been having with staff ace Garrett Cole and what it means to him this spring.
It's been fun. Whether it's him talking to me about my stuff or vice versa, I think there's been some good conversations there. I think that it's productive to talk to other people about stuff. I think that it can open your eyes to other things or make you think about something in a different way than maybe you have previously. So I enjoy talking about pitching with other guys, and I think it's the more you can do it throughout the season and facing other teams, especially teams within the division that you face all the time. Learn from each other, pick each other's brains, whether it's Garrett or whether it's any of the pitchers. I think it's definitely a productive thing to do. We
shift gears to the NBA hardwood, where the association enjoys a condensed All-Star weekend, but nonetheless a good one. The biggest highlight from last weekend may have actually been off the court, though. The rich get richer. The Brooklyn Nets used one of their veteran minimum contract slots to sign former All-Star Blake Griffin to their tremendous cast. That's 6 All-Stars in their regular rotation if you are counting. And rumors are swirling too that Andre Drummond could be next to be heading to Brooklyn. Griffin informed Nets general manager Sean Marks of his decision to join Brooklyn's championship chase on Sunday evening, a reunion of sorts with his former LA Clippers teammate DeAndre Jordan. Meanwhile, Team LeBron cruises to a 170-150 All-Star Game win over Team Durant as James watches the second half from the bench. Giannis is perfect from the field while Steph Curry and Dame Lillard held their own too. Curry wins the three-point contest prior to the All-Star Game. He says the one-day event was different but fun. Knick rookie Obi Toppin dunked over his dad, the former Hoops in the Sun star, and Randall in the dunk contest at All-Star, but despite reaching the finals, it just wasn't enough. I was totally wrong, by the way. I do think Cassius Stanley was robbed, and I was surprised that Anthony Simons, who I called Simmons last week, my bad, topped Obi in the finals. On the college basketball hardwood, tip of the cap is due for the Yukon women's basketball team. Different conference, same result for Yukon. After winning 7 straight titles in the American Athletic Conference, the top-ranked Huskies rout Marquette 73-39 on Monday night in their return to the Big East Tournament Championship game. Impressive. They will be awfully tough to beat come March Madness. March also ushers in the return of more auto racing to the schedule, and that includes IndyCar. One champion that will be very tough to beat is Scott Dixon. Former Indy 500 winner Alexander Rossi is focused and optimistic for the season and says the reigning IndyCar champ Dixon remains the target.
We went into the offseason with quite a bit of optimism, and we've continued that progression all the way through the winter, and the team's in a really, really strong place right now. So I'm excited to get down to Barber, The tests that we've had have gone smoothly, and we've accomplished a lot of what we've been trying to do. So we've got a couple more times in the car before Barber, but yeah, I feel good right now. I'll let you know in about a month.
Dixon is also eager to get back to work and says the IndyCar series is filled with talent from top to bottom.
It really comes down to now the people that you get to work with, the process of what you do, and then sometimes a bit of luck. So yeah, I'd say that the competition, I've never seen it so strong. I think, when you look at it from a driver standpoint to a team standpoint, and the options that you have. So yeah, it's pretty packed, man.
On the ice, Artemi Panarin is back with the Rangers after a 2.5-week-long absence in wake of a politically motivated article from Russia. The article accuses the star winger of assaulting an 18-year-old woman back in 2011. The Rangers have been without Panarin since February 20th. He has missed the last 8 games since requesting a leave of absence from the team following the discredited allegations levied against him by his former KHL coach. And on a final sports roundup note, cheers to New York City FC. The club unveils their 2021 Bronx Blue primary jersey. The new jersey pays homage to the New Yorkers who have shaped their club and the city that they call home. The Bronx Blue kit features NYCFC's iconic blue colorway with a striped pattern that's inspired by the different uniforms of New York City's municipal workers. An adaptation of the New York City flag is printed above the player nameplate. NYCFC will use the jerseys to continue to celebrate frontline workers, including thanking New York Presbyterian for all the work throughout the pandemic. With some of the first Bronx Blue jerseys, the special edition shirts will have a thank you message customized on the back and will be signed by the club's first-team players. That's just absolutely awesome. You know what else is awesome? The 50th anniversary of the greatest boxing match here in the Big Apple. We hit the C-list for more. After 50 years, Ali Frazier is the fight that transcends the sport. March 8, 1971. 5 decades later, the fight of the century remains the fight of any century. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier remain the fighters to whom fighters compare themselves. And it was more than just two of the greatest boxers of all time, and the two greatest at that time squaring off. It was a divided country preoccupied with race, Ali refusing induction into the Army during the Vietnam War, the decision costing him his title and almost a 4-year layoff from the sport. The man who won the heavyweight championship in his absence was unforgivably cast as the white man's champion. For historical significance, we turn to legendary boxing promoter Bob Arum. The 89-year-old Arum was there at Madison Square Garden and says no fight will ever compare.
People who, whether they listened on the radio, whether they were in Madison Square Garden, whether they're lucky enough to get a ticket to the closed circuit, which is, of course, limited because of the phone company limiting the number of locations that could be served, that anybody who either saw that fight or heard it on the radio never will forget.
The fight of the century lived up to the hype. In the 15th and final round, Frazier floored Ali with a left hook, and it looked as if the contest was over before, to the amazement of the crowd, he got straight back up. Frazier would go on to win the bout on points, but a unanimous decision giving Ali the first loss of his professional career followed, and in the context of what that fight meant outside the ring, the 50th anniversary certainly deserves a nod here in the C-list. Long live Ali Frazier. Happy 50th. Don't forget, catch Monday's Open. We'll talk collectibles with guru Brandon Steiner right here on the show. That's your look at sports. I'm Bobby C.
Dance Rising NYC is a 5-borough campaign initiative demonstrating the importance of dance being part of New York's culture. As a result of the pandemic, last year, the dance world was left to a halt, causing the entire industry to shut down. So our next guest decided to create a platform to bring dancers together and celebrate the art of dance. This month marks the 1-year anniversary of New York City's cultural shutdown, and Dance Rising NYC is holding a 5-borough video tour that is going to basically shed light on dance. And joining us to tell us more, please welcome Dance Rising NYC co-founder Melissa Riker and Beat Girl Rockefeller, the legend herself. Woo woo! Hello, hello, ladies.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Oh my goodness, on this beautiful sunny day in New York.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we are rising.
Yes,
Slowly but
we are.
surely, we are rising.
The temperature is rising with the dancers.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. And what a better month to kick it off on than Women's History Month.
Hey.
Right?
Yes. Thank you.
There you go. So we're going to kick off with
everyone
you,
rising.
Melissa, because Melissa, this is you were inspired to kick this off. I know this has been a huge undertaking, and I just love everything about this concept and the way it's being distributed throughout New York City. So let's talk a little bit about what inspired you to coordinate all of this.
There were many conversations at the very beginning that were with Dance NYC, and they were doing incredible work. Alejandra and her team were doing incredible work to keep dance visible or to bring dance to the decision-making table and to work on the guidelines for dance studios so the dance studios could reopen so the dancers could keep training. That was taking so much work on their side that the idea of what would make dance visible just kept ringing in my mind. And I started to think, what can we do to make dance visible? How can we bring dancers together to work all across the city to create this actual visibility for dance? And what does that mean? So in August, I asked people to come together with me to start that conversation, to kind of take some large scale imagination and come up with a plan. So Dance Rising is what rose out of that plan. We did dance outs in October and we did dance outs in December, and we had over 300 dancers dancing with us. And that felt like the way to start to bring this conversation, not only empower dancers to be dancing, but to bring the conversation of why we need to be paying attention to dancers in this time.
That's lovely. So can you just identify what a dance out is versus what's being demonstrated this time around?
Yes. So a dance out, as we were calling them hyper-local dance outs. We wanted everyone to be in the space that they were comfortable in because, of course, doing this in October, doing this through the summer, we recognize everyone has a different sense of safety in connection to crowds and other people and all that stuff. So we were inviting dancers to just step out onto their stoop, to dance out their windows, to go where they felt good, a park, and take that time and that space to dance. The other part of that is to record themselves. So if you think about this as a 5-borough flash mob where everyone is dancing their own style and dancing their own voice.
At the same time.
At the same time. We were asking everyone to step outside at 5 o'clock in October, at 3 o'clock in December, because of course time change. And you know, the whole city came alive with dancers dancing their truth in that moment, in their own style. And we are about every single style of dance standing up and speaking for itself. And we're doing what we can to lift every dancer that's in New York City.
That's so awesome. I mean, I could just sense the energy behind it, right? It's almost in the same vein of like ringing the bells and clapping,
Yes.
applauding at 7 p.m. for all the frontline workers. And so I'm assuming, Rockefeller, you've been part of this since she initiated it as a dance out, and here you are now presenting in the Dance Rising. Well, Rockefeller, you know, you're my sister. You've been on Open before. We have been following your career. You're amazing. You're a goddess. You're a legend. And,
oh my God, that's too much. It's too heavy to carry.
I know.
God.
Well, you know, it's
Thank
the
you.
humility that you carry that is really most admirable, and the fact that you're still there in the grassroots efforts. It means a lot. So let's talk about like you with your journey and your contributions and how this has impacted you with Full Circle Souljahs, your dance company, as well as your partner, Quickstep.
Yes, thank you, Melissa, for creating this platform, and Rhina, thank you for always giving me a space to share my experience and my journey. And so, yeah, when the shutdown happened, a lot of Full Circle's programming just stopped completely. Any of the future things we had for the summer, and summer's usually when we're so busy, there's always festivals and, you know, places that want to see breaking and see the future of hip hop dance. All that was canceled. So funding also did not come in. So the only thing we had was to go out and to try to see each other safely, like by the Cross Bronx Expressway or in some little plaza somewhere in the Bronx safely. So some of our dancers did not want to, you know, join us. So whoever was feeling that they were, you know, able and healthy, we met with them just so they can have dance, because dance is therapeutic. And so we recognize that some of our young dancers are going through some really challenging, you know, paths and journeys, and dance is the way that they feel uplifted and connected. And so it was a no-brainer once I heard about the Dance Rising effort and campaign to make us visible so that the state and the city can start to think about ways to open up spaces for us to safely dance. We're not saying that we were going to be irresponsible, but we just needed something from the state. And so what better way than to dance out and to know that other people are also dancing outside in other parts of New York City, on the concrete, outside, in the grass. So it was a wonderful, wonderful way to feel connected and to do what we normally do. So, you know, again, we're so grateful to Melissa, to Dance Rising, to Dance NYC, and to those of our dancers who did join me. I had a few that were courageous enough, and you know, by October they were like, enough is enough, we need to dance.
Yeah.
We went and danced in Hunts Point, and it was a bigger group. Sometimes my phone wasn't working, so the video sometimes froze, but all in all, everybody was so uplifted by this campaign. And I'm excited to know that maybe we'll show up and someone will see Dancers from the Bronx in those linked NYC screens. So excited.
Oh, you will.
And yeah, we support. You've got our support for sure, for real.
Oh my God.
Thank
It's
you,
so
Roxanne.
awesome. And you know, the beauty of it is like, right, in relation to like, let's say the fitness centers, right? And so we're talking about dance studios as opposed to teaching on Zoom, which is what you've all resorted to doing throughout the pandemic. But by the same token, you're doing it how we do it in New York, very artistically and very creatively. And so the distribution is phenomenal. Let's talk about that before we go, Melissa.
Sure. So the video distribution. Yes, we are so excited about what's happening now, because now those two major dance outs with over 300 dancers have all of those videos. Our editor, Carly Santori, did an amazing job stringing them all together. So we have 8 videos that are compiled. Every single dancer that took part that gave us a video is in those videos. And then we also have the Link NYC videos. Those are 15-second clips, but she managed to get so many dancers present that in the kiosks all over the city, we have 102 kiosks all over the city that will be showing videos and still images of Dance Rising. And the conversation it's just to continue this conversation of how can dance and dancers and individual dancers and individual dance companies be supported, and what can that be?
And that basically, everyone, you know, what they're saying is that while you're over there doing your quick charge, your emergency charging your phone, or looking for directions, you're going to get a nice, cute excerpt of Dance Rising on the kiosk. And how many Link NYC kiosks are there?
We have 102 Link NYC kiosks, and we have 20 venue partners that are either showing our videos on social media or showing them on screens around the city. We have five venue partners that are showing them on screens. And then we have the wonderful Bad in the Bronx, who will also be showing our videos this weekend during their Women's Work Festival. And they'll be including our videos in their online presentations.
Wonderful. And thank you for bringing it here to our viewers on Open.
Yes.
Big Girl
Thank you.
Rockefeller, co-founder of Dance Rising NYC, Melissa Riker, and you guys, I want to make sure you remember once again that Dance Rising excerpts can be found on Link NYC kiosk throughout the entire month of March until like March 26th. And for full presentation schedules, you at a borough near you, because it's a 5-borough initiative, you can visit dancerising.org. We do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to get a sneak peek of a video tour that it's presented by Full Circle Souljahs from the BX. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back here now to give us a taste of Dance Rising NYC video tour, performing breaking. Let's give it up for Full Circle Souljahs. B-Girl Rockefeller spinning on her head. You saw that? Of course, with her dance company, Full Circle Souljahs. They're going to be part of the Dance Rising NYC video tour that is taking place from March 13th through the 15th. And you can also find excerpts of it on a linked NYC kiosk near you until March 26th. For more information on other performances, you can visit dancerising.org. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to our guests for coming through, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recap cast tonight and 24 hours a day at bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Happy Women's History Month.